Hey guys, it's Bailey from Making It from the Midwest, and this is going to be a review of the new CoverGirl Clean Whipped Cream Foundation. Mine is in the shade 310 or Classic Ivory, in case you are wondering. Now, I recently found this at Walmart for $5.50 or $5.90, less than $6, maybe it's $6 with tax, but I have yet to see it in Walgreens or CVS's in my area, so I'm unsure if they're going to launch there later or if it will be exclusive to Walmart. I find that hard to believe, but just in case you were wondering and you haven't seen it in any of those places, I found mine at Walmart as well. As usual, I will show you before and after pictures throughout this review, but if you want to see stills of those, you can go ahead and look in the info bar below for a link to a blog post where you can see that, a close-up of the texture of this product because it is really interesting and I'm sure more. So let's get to it. So first let's talk claims. This did not come with any packaging. This was it and the display alone. So there weren't a whole lot of talking points or a lot of promises that this product made, at least on the packaging, which I personally like because it means you don't have to throw away any excess junk. At the same time though, it doesn't give me a whole lot of talking points to work off of in this video. So I went to Amazon because I wasn't able to pull up the product page on the CoverGirl website itself. But this is information provided by CoverGirl on Amazon, so I'm going to go with it. It says that it's a mousse foundation that gives you a smooth, clean, natural look that won't dry your skin out. So it claims to have moisturizing ingredients in a breathable whipped formula, which I think is understandable since I wouldn't say often, but sometimes whipped textures on products that you put on your face can tend to stick in dry patches. I assume it's a side effect of the texture of the formula, but sometimes it can happen, and so it's always good to know that they're taking that extra precaution to make it more moisturizing. So now let's talk about what it actually does. So here it is in the actual packaging itself. You can see it is not liquid in the least, but it's certainly not solid, and I'll show you a close-up here of the texture so you can actually see what it is, because it is very cool and it is definitely a mousse. I would say it's not as rigid as the Revlon Whipped Foundation, which isn't technically a mousse, I don't think, but because these are probably the two most comparable in texture I can think of in the drugstore, it's probably what and you will see a lot of people comparing the new CoverGirl foundation to. So definitely not as rigid, much more fluffier, and when it applies it goes on a little bit more smoother. I hate to say more wet, but it's for lack of a better word, somebody actually, when I Instagrammed a picture of this saying I was using it, said it applied a little greasier. And so I don't want to say greasy though, because I didn't find it left a greasy sheen on my face, which is what that kind of implies to me. So I'm going to say smoother and a little wetter, oddly enough. So to apply this, I first used a finger and used that to directly apply it to my skin, mostly in the areas I felt I wanted most coverage, like I do with any foundation, in my T-zone because I do have combination skin. So I put it in my forehead, down the bridge of my nose, and then on my cheeks. Once I blended it out with my what else but my cosmetics big fluffy chunk of a brush, I blended that out, and then I went ahead and added more in spots or areas where I wanted more coverage, like my under eye area for a little bit excess pigmentation, on blemishes I have around my face, things like that. And I found that I really liked the way it wore. Having combination skin makes it a little easier to tell how it's going to wear on oily versus dry patches. So the before picture you're going to see was taken at 7:30, maybe 8-ish in the morning, and I would say it is a very natural coverage foundation. It is good, really good at evening out skin tone, but it's not full coverage. I'd say it's medium, maybe medium plus. We're gonna make that term up right now. It's like medium plus at best, which is fine as long as that is what you are looking for. I noticed, you know, in addition to evening out my complexion, it did cover blemishes a little bit, but I also found myself having to put on a little bit additional concealer over top. Not a ton, mind you, but for extra pigmented spots, whether it was excess redness in a blemish or the darkness of a freckle, if I wanted it covered, I still needed a little bit of extra concealer in that area. And so that's something to think about if you are expecting this to be as full coverage as, say, that Revlon Color Stay Whipped business. It's not at all. I wouldn't say, at least. Even when I built it, as I mentioned before, in the areas where I felt like I needed more coverage, I still don't feel like it reached as much coverage as the Revlon does in one coat. So then after that, I put on my regular makeup as usual. I find it works really well with wearing powder over top, wearing cream products over top. I mean, it performs well like you would want any foundation to under whatever products you happen to want to wear that day. And then the after picture was taken at around 5 p.m. so that's what, 9 8 or 9 hours after I put it on initially, so it had to withstand the commute, which on the day that I did this, it's actually today, the pictures are from today that you'll see, it's the 90-degree day, so it had to withstand some heat, and I commute, I walk outside, I take the bus, I'm not easy on my makeup, and then the normal face touching that you do throughout the day, we all do it. We don't want to admit it, but we do. It had to withstand all that, and I would say that there was some minor wear and tear, but no more than any other foundation. I didn't notice it getting patchy in certain areas, especially on my combination skin, and it was hot outside. I didn't notice it getting excessively dewy in my T-zone area, which I think is great. And I do kind of attribute it to that whipped kind of formula because for whatever reason to me that seems like a more mattifying formula. But despite having those hydrating ingredients that it claims to have, I didn't notice it being excessively hydrating or developing a sheen in my T-zone area. At the same time, on the day yesterday that I was wearing this and it was windy and stuff, I didn't notice it getting cakey or creasy in the areas on my combination face where it got patchy or too dry or too flaky or cakey looking, and so that is good news as well. Overall, it did a really good job at maintaining a satin finish throughout the day. I think that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about and I might not have mentioned before is that it does leave kind of a satin finish as opposed to like a matte that a mousse product typically does. It's pretty satin. It's not dewy, there isn't glitter, there isn't opalescence in it at all. It just has a nice, healthy, natural satin appearance about it, which I really like. The other thing I wanted to mention with this was that even on a day like today when it's 80s, 90s, I didn't notice any oxidation with this formula, which is always great. One thing I'm unsure of is how, what the shade range for this particular formula is like. The display that I found was pretty picked over, but from what I could tell there might have been another shade beneath this. This is, as I said before, was 310. There might have been a 300 and I'm not sure at all how high it goes. I do want to say though that if there is only one shade beneath this, this is not a good line for those who are super, super fair. And given that's the case, I can't imagine, this is grossly extrapolating, but I don't think it'll be great for super deep skin tones. Please correct me if I'm wrong though in the comment section. If you're looking for this and you have a deeper skin tone, check the comment section because I'm sure someone out there will be able to tell you better than I will in the comment section below because my display just was really lacking. I'm lucky to have found the shade that I did. But from what I can tell, it's not a very wide shade range, which is one downside and is kind of unfortunate. Aside from that though, and I guess we're now here getting into the final conclusions and whatnot, I think this is a great foundation if you're looking for nice, natural, lightweight coverage. It's not very buildable, like I said, but it still does provide, you know, a good way to even out your complexion. The other great thing about this product, around $6, at least that's what it is at Walmart, it's a really good deal. You get about 0.2 ounces less than you do in the Revlon in this guy, this huge guy, except the packaging is obviously much, much smaller, which I personally really like. I don't want to spend too much time comparing these though because to me in terms of coverage they are very, very different. This is very natural and this to me gives you a more flawless finish. So for me the comparison kind of ends there, but if we're talking packaging, this wins by far because this is a pain in the butt to travel with. So that's it from me. I hope you guys found this review helpful and I would love to hear your opinions on this product if you've tried it in the comment section down below. And please let me know if you have questions, if there was something I didn't cover, anything like that. Also, comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching and please subscribe if you haven't already and I will see you in my next video. Bye!